Allow me to reintroduce myself.
You are now tuning in to the Snap Call Podcast.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Snap Call Podcast. I'm Hector.
I'm Ice.
And I am Fernando.
This is episode 9. Man, we've done 9 of these already. It's time's flying. Today's a special one. We were graced with the presence of Ryan Slocum, and he's on the video right now.
Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for having me.
No, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. No pun intended.
No pun intended.
There's gonna be a lot of those. I'm sorry. So, without giving away too much of your story, Mel, you want to tell us about yourself?
As far as poker, I kind of got started back in 2003, 2004. I was in high school, moneymaker effect, and started playing home games and whatnot. But then I left for the military shortly after I graduated. So when I was in the military, I was in the Navy, and I spent all of my free time basically trying to organize poker games, or I was reading poker books, things like that. I got really, really into it. Like, I remember at my first deployment, we ended up in Dubai, and I brought my laptop to a bar trying to play online poker, but they had it banned in Dubai. You couldn't get on. That was in like 2007 or something like that, 2006.
What were you playing on?
I was trying to play on, what was it? Was it Bodog? I think it was Bodog back then. Yeah, it was old school, and they had like the restrictions, kind of like now in America, where if you're not in like Michigan, Ohio, you can't get in. Same thing over there. It was
Were you downloading songs from LimeWire?
Of course, yeah. I was trying to play back then, but yeah. So, I was in the military for a while. I got out in 2009. My dad's a retired military guy, and I told him while I was deployed, I said, hey, when I get out, I think I want to try to play poker for like a living. And I expected my military dad to be like, grow up, there's a recession. But he was like, go for it, man, do it. If you're going to do it right. And I came home, and I grinded out. If you remember, for a while, there was heads up hyper turbo sit and goes. It was like the thing. You'd start with 25 bigs or something like that. And I got really, really good at those, so I grinded that out for a living for a little while. Yeah. Until Black Friday.
I thought you were going to say heads up, 7-up. I was like, I'm ready for that game.
Were you playing on like Full Tilt, Poker Stars at that time?
If he's playing on Bulldog, he's playing on everything.
Yeah, I was playing on Stars most. When I started doing the heads up turbos, the hyper turbos or whatever, that was on Stars. I did a little bit on Full Tilt, but I remember that there was like $55 heads-up turbos that I could run 4 tables at once on Stars. Yeah, problem all day.
Yeah, I remember trying to do heads-up. I get fleeced every time. Like my brain just did not handle heads-up well.
It's a different game for sure. I mean, you're playing every flop, but so I was one of those original nerds who downloaded a HUD, and it was this HUD called the Coffee HUD. And it was specifically for people who played heads up, and it had like everything broken down, and I had nerded out on figuring out exploits and whatnot. So I got pretty good at it until Black Friday.
Talking about Black Friday, were you affected by Black Friday?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's what I was doing, was poker for that year and change after I got out of the military. And then it all went away one day. Yeah. I tried finding like sketchy sites after that, playing with Bitcoin. If I would have held on to that Bitcoin back then.
Oh yeah.
Man,
you didn't leave like a super huge balance on your account?
No.
Oh, that's good.
No. So as far as that, no, I didn't lose much actually. I don't remember exactly. It was, I probably only had like $1,000 in there or something like that. It wasn't anything crazy when Black Friday happened, but it was my day-to-day grind. Like I did it 50, 60 hours a week.
Oh, wow.
Playing in a little apartment. Just all I did was heads up, sit and goes all day long. Yeah. So yeah, it was a pretty brutal day to wake up. It was like April 15th or something. It was brutal. Yeah.
And you just online, or you play live as well too?
Actually, like live a lot. So after Black Friday, I got a job at a casino as a dealer. It was the closest thing I could find to playing poker. You know what I mean? So I did that for a little while. I dealt a little bit of poker. I started like blackjack, craps, that sort of thing. But I eventually started dealing poker simply because I wanted to learn live reads and whatnot. I find live to be way softer than online, like significantly softer at my stakes.
Yeah.
I know if you play a big buy-in tournament, you're gonna have, better players. But if you're playing 500 and under, even $1,000, some of those live tournaments, it's really, really soft compared to even a $50 tournament online, because you're playing regs all day online.
Okay. So you're only doing tournaments.
Yes, I
When
just
you were
recently
doing
got
live.
staked by a company, so I'm playing online staked, which is nice. I sign up for like 300 tournaments at a time, and they cover the tournaments. And if I lose, I don't owe anything. But if I win, I get a cut. So I just finished my first set, and I did really well on my first set. So I'm moving up a little bit in stakes. But online is just a grind more
Yeah.
so than live is way more fun. It's easier. The players are. What I find, you guys play tournaments or cash normally?
I play mainly cash. Once in a while, I jump in tournaments, but usually just cash, just because of the time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
fair
like
enough.
tournaments, but I haven't been able to do it so long with all these kids are running around.
I mean, I usually just do
So,
tournaments. So.
yeah.
Well, what I find in live tournaments is that live players in the lower limits anyway, is they don't convert the chips they have to the amount of big blinds they have, and they don't adjust their strategy based on big blinds because they don't even know how many big blinds they have.
Yeah.
So I find when I play live, I could pretty much bully a lot of the tables that I play at in tournaments.
Great. Got another bully here. Great.
Well, when it gets short stacked, I feel, you're playing, everyone's got 10 big blinds and you got 3 limpers. It's like, what is happening in front of me right now? But that's the norm, it seems, in a lot of the live stuff. So I like live as far as profitability, but
Yeah.
as far as my day-to-day, I play 10 to 15 tournaments online a day
Okay.
in Michigan. So that's my grind right now.
Yeah. And your Michigan is legal, so you're playing on what, WSOP or Club
Yeah,
GG or something?
WSOP, Stars, and BetMGM, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we're here in Florida. We got nothing.
I feel so bad for you.
We have ACR if we want to go that Bitcoin route. Which
Yeah, if you-
I did it for a
Against
while,
bots.
and I was just like I gave up. I was just like, I don't know how many runouts I'm gonna see of just runner quads against a straight flush or something, and I'm just like this doesn't feel right. I never had problem with my money getting it in and out. Once you know how to use Bitcoin and all that stuff, but the play wise, I was just
there's
like,
so
yeah,
many
this
hands.
doesn't
That's
feel
the
right.
thing. It's like you play so many hands, you're gonna. But like for instance, the last set of 300 I just did. I run a soft hold'em manager to see all my tournaments, and I ran over 800 big blinds below expected.
Yeah,
So that's the kind of stuff that's so frustrating when you're a tournament player. Is like, if one of those times where you get it in good and lose is late, your whole day is, that whole tournament shot. In cash, as long as you're consistently beating the other players, you're going to end up with more money. But in tournaments, that's simply not the case. There's so much variance.
yeah. That's these guys, man. They have that patience. I mean, I have the patience to sit there for 12 hours in a tournament, but put me in a cash game after like a couple hours, I'm like, all right, I just want to shove.
Yeah, I'm not a good cash game player. I try, I get so frustrated. I was playing PLO cash online for a while, and I ran 33 buy-ins below expected, which is just insane.
Yeah.
So I just got so
And what
frustrated.
stakes are you playing PLO?
That was like 50 cent a dollar,
No, okay.
$1.02 online. I try to play 3 or 4. Whenever I play 3 or 4 tables at once. So you and PLO, the game is so swingy.
Oh yeah, PLO's a bankroll maker and a bankroll breaker at the same time.
Yeah.
That's right. I actually quit. So I told my wife I was playing PLO specifically only. I bought PLO Trainer. I was studying GTO. I got real nerdy on it, and I was just focusing on PLO. And I was getting crushed. I'm getting my all-ins in. I'm getting it in good, and I'm losing and losing and losing. So I told my wife I quit poker. I told her I'm done. I'm done with this. And I cashed out everything of all my accounts, and I was done, except for that $2 that was left in my WSOP account before I won my thing. So, I got pretty frustrated at PLO cash for sure.
Oh wow, so that's crazy.
So you were doing the heads up, Hypermax Black Friday happens, and then you start you start dealing, and then you get back on the grind, and let's try PLO, and you get down and you give it up, and we're segueing into the how we found you with the poker news. So I didn't realize when I heard it, but that you won it 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
So you satellited. So will you tell us about that first time?
Yeah, so Club GG commonly gets mixed up. So Club GG has two different things. There's Club GG where people put in money and they just have a guy they know. They give that guy money and then they can play online, not legally, but it's fine. Everybody does it. It's kind of. But there's also a Club GG thing where you pay $50 a month and you get access to satellites. And I started doing this years ago. When I had no money and I just wanted to be able to play poker all day and I didn't want to have to worry about spending my money. And it was $50 a month, so I just started doing that. And I won a lot on that. So I won 3 MSPT tournament buy-ins that were $1,100 each. I won a couple of Run Good that were like $600 or $800 each. And then I won my main event seat. So how it worked was every day last year, and now this year they're doing it, they had a satellite where there was one winner, got a seat to the main event. So it was obviously not easy to do. I think the one that I won, there was like, I want to say 1,300 people or something like that. But for what it's worth, the competition on Club GG is horrendous. So what I would do is I would max late reg. So when I won my seat, I registered, there was 3 hours of late reg. I registered at 2:55, and got in, and I did that every day because by the time I joined, there'd only be 300 or so people left. So maybe 2,000 started, but they're all so bad and they're just punting their stacks off that by the time their late reg was over, there's 300 people left. So a few different times I got to the final 100, the final 50, the final 20, and I was like, listen, if I can get to the final 100, it means I have a 1% chance.
Yeah.
I'll take that. It's the main event. I'll play it every day. And I just kept doing it every day. I remember I finished 5th, I finished 9th, and a few different ones. And then I won the one. And they gave me my seat and then a hotel for 7 nights. And it just so happened that my wife and I were already going to Vegas then. She works at a restaurant. They were closing for the week, and all of her friends were going to be there. So we were all going to be there anyway.
Okay.
So then I won this seat. So then all of a sudden we were playing. That was our Club GG, $50 a month.
Awesome. Wow. And you don't do that anymore?
I do it every day.
Oh, you still do it? Okay.
I'm doing it right now as I'm doing
it. Based off of this story, actually, I heard of it, but I never gave it much thought and actually downloaded it and signed up. And I started playing. And just like you said, that stage 1 was just, I was like, all right, this isn't people really playing poker. It was just, just get up there and, let it blind you out. Everybody's sitting out. The stage 2, I saw a couple people actually playing, but I haven't done the stage 3 yet of doing the event. I would have done it tonight, but we were doing the podcast.
You could have got 10 free tickets if you signed up under me, and then you just go straight to the finals.
Oh, man.
Damn.
But the key is for that first stage, I don't even pay attention to. I just go all in with anything, literally any 2 cards. And then if I win the hand or don't win the hand, I don't play anything else the rest of that tournament. And if you win that one hand, you'll make stage 2.
Yeah.
And then stage 2 is a 6-person sit and go. You just got to win that. And I'm telling you, these players they're horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a handful of guys who are really, really, solid players on there.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's guys who are only willing to spend $50 a month on poker.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, this isn't going to be the top tier players. So, I beat 1,334 people or whatever it was. But, I mean, how many of them punted off their stacks immediately?
Yeah.
So, to me, it's a great value because this year, if you don't win, there's still cash prizes. Last year, if you didn't win, you got nothing.
Yeah, I saw that. I was actually pleasantly surprised with that. I was like, oh, second place, third place, they're giving a couple $100 or, and then $30, $10, which is still good for, it's a free roll,
That's what I'm saying. It's a good value. So
yeah.
I say if any of you guys want to sign up. I'll give you a link. Then you'll get 10 free entries into the last thing. But what it also does is it gives me an entry into this thing called Vegas Crew, where if you recruit someone in, you get an entry into this tournament. and whoever wins gets 3 main event packages,
Oh, wow.
one for themselves and 2 for their friends.
Oh,
So
So one
why-
for you and then the other 2 for
this is what I
some
get
of
for
us.
being
and
impatient.
you guys have to battle it out. I got one other one already locked up for somebody. So you
Okay,
guys
so we got
can do a
one.
little
Yeah.
on stream.
Yeah,
Do a heads up or do a little tournament between you
Yeah.
guys for the third one.
yeah, that's what I get for being so.
Yeah, you could
I
be.
was just like, I want to play.
You need to be a patient player.
No, it's a good value though.
Yeah.
I think it's worth it. I mean, if you're paid, I say if you've already got an account, you said right.
Yeah.
So if you get a stage 3 ticket, just max late reg. Like
Yeah.
I just looked it up a minute ago. There was one going on tonight, and by the time max like late registration was over, there was 320 people.
Yeah.
Wow.
Top 200 get at least their entry ticket back.
Yeah.
So if you double up one time, you're going to
good.
get your ticket back, and then you could do it again the next day. All it takes is a couple of double ups, and then you can actually play poker.
Yeah, I think I did it
Otherwise, you
on
don't have to waste your
Friday.
time.
I did it on Friday, and I already had 3 final stage and
you
like
go.
2 stage 2s. Like it wasn't difficult at all.
No, it's not. It's really soft competition.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's the key to me. I've always played poker within a limited bankroll, so I try to find the most value that I can find with my bankroll. And at the time, like I was working as a private investigator,
Yeah.
and I
Was
was
you
sitting
Magnum
in the car,
PI or?
Kinda. It was the worst. I hated it. But I just sat in my car playing poker on my phone all day because I'm in Michigan.
Yeah.
And Club GG was one of the ways that I was able to play tournaments every single day, and it really, really helped my small stack play. Because in Club GG, it seems the blinds go up really fast. You're always playing with like 12 big blinds or under. So if you play that a lot, you get really, really good at it, and I did.
Yeah. So I got 90 days to win one before the WSOP main event.
All right, so you win your ticket into the main event. What's your mindset going into the main event?
Last year, it was such a surprise because, like I said, my wife and I were already going. So, it was a bucket list thing for me, obviously. I'm a poker junkie. Like, that's all I watch. That's all I think about. So going to the main event was a crazy thought. I mean, honestly, my original thought was, I wonder what day Negreanu's playing. I'm going to play that day. Maybe I can play at Negreanu's table. Like, I was thinking, this is a bucket list. I'm just going to make the most of it. I'm not going to win the tournament. I'm just going to try to make the most of it and see how I do.
Was this your first time going to the World Series of Poker, or you been before? It was your first time ever?
Ever any World Series of Poker live event.
Which hotel did it put you at?
I already had a room. I was in Mandalay Bay. That's where my wife and I always stay. But we had a room at, where they put us? The Horseshoe. No, it was Paris. It was Paris, I think.
Okay.
But we only stayed there for like 2 nights because we had our room at Mandalay Bay, which is a little quieter when you get done with the tournament. But going into day 2, what happened was I was out with my wife and her friends, and they were all drinking, partying. It's Vegas, and I'm preparing for day 2, and I look at my table draw, and my table draw to my immediate left was Artur, what's his name, the Russian kid. He had just came in second in the 250K. He's like this new phenom poker player. I had Brian Yoon. He's won like 6 World Series poker rings. Mitch Halverson, who just went super deep the year before, and Jonas Becker, who's like the #1 earner in all of Germany. And I was like, what is happening right now? You look at my handed mom, it's like $800, and these guys were like 6 million, 5 million, 4 million. So I was really nervous going into day 2. But honestly, once I sat down and started playing, I was just playing cards, and I was fine. But it's the build up getting there that was very nerve wracking. But once I was playing, I was cool.
Hey, you go through the hotel, you walk into the ballroom like that, and you see all the pros walking by you. You see them at the table, especially you playing the main event, so you feel like you're competing with these guys that are multimillionaires and stuff like that. It only takes pretty much one deep run in the main event to change everything for you. So
That's awesome.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I had Phil Locke at my table, and Phil Locke became like my buddy. He gave me his phone number and texted me and stuff. Like, we became friends. He was such a laid-back guy, so that was really cool. I had Matt Berkey at my table for a little bit. I watched him punt. He was kind of a jerk to me, to be honest. But everybody else was really cool. Like, you know, people ask me how I got there. I tell them I got in here on $50. I'm free rolling. Like
Yeah.
I know some of you guys are sweating 10K.
Yeah.
Like I didn't sell
I'm
any
coming from the
Hercules.
Midwest. You know how.
Yeah, I didn't care. But yeah, it was awesome. It was a great experience. But
That's awesome. So
till I lost.
it's the biggest you ever played off of $50. You're sitting with all the pros that we see every day on TV and get all these newses from, and you're holding your own. And you're like, man, like your game is valid. You know what I mean? You're like, this is a very validating time for me right now. And it was like, obviously, I'm not quitting after this.
Yeah, I played really, really well, to be honest. I ran bad. I got it all in on day 2. No, it was the end of day 1. A king high flop. I had ace king. A guy called me and he got runner flush. He had a pair of kings too, and he got runner flush, and that was for a big pot. So I came into day 2 with just under starting stack. You know, the last hand of day 2 was when I got eliminated. The very last, everyone's ordering shots and celebrating. I'm sitting on the ground against the wall, just like devastated. But I had the nut flush on the turn, and you know, guy had a set and filled up on the river, and that was it. And I was like, I got to get back. I got to figure out a way to get back. I knew I wasn't gonna have I'm never gonna have 10K to just throw into a tournament and hope for the best. I know I have to satellite in.
Okay.
So I just started immediately looking for where can I find satellites.
Yeah.
Where are they at? You know, Club GG was the first place I looked.
Did you jump into another tournament, like another WSOP tournament that was going on?
No,
Or you just played
no,
just that one main event tournament and that's it?
You
I
do
just
the
played the main
dailies or
event.
anything?
No, last year I was there with my wife and all of her friends. So by the time day 2 was finished, I had already had my flight booked like before I won my seat. So I was coming home when day 3 would have started. So I think like this year, if I could do it differently, I wouldn't have. I played a little bit more aggressively than I probably needed to on day 2 because I didn't want to come into day 3 short stacked, being that I didn't even have a room yet. I would have had to change my flight and all that stuff. So I
Gotcha.
was like, I'm going to play a little bit aggressive. So if I come back at day 3, at least I know I have a shot at day 4 and day 5.
Gotcha.
So I probably didn't have to do some of the things I did in day 2. And this year, like I've learned from my mistakes. I'm not going to let it happen again.
Yeah, not letting your setup affect how you're gonna play and giving yourself that opportunity. Awesome.
Yeah. Now because this year I'm going for the main. I'm not going because you know my wife's work is off and we're all going to party. Like I'm going to play the main event. So my mindset is totally different.
Yeah.
Work is off and we're all going to party.
Okay.
I'm going to play the main event. So
Are you going to play just the main event this year or are you going to play other tournaments as well?
I'm still up in the air on that. I want to play the mini main.
The main
It's,
event this year or are you going to play other tournaments as well?
It's $1,000 for the mini main, and it's 60 minute levels or something like that. But I'll probably just play the main. It depends. I'm trying to win more satellites, so we'll see.
There's like an
60
echo.
minute levels or something like that. I'll probably just play the
That's
main.
cool.
I'm trying to win more
So we got a question in the chat. It was like, what's your favorite hand, and why is it King Deuce? That comes from King of Cat Poop.
No, not King Deuce. I mean, anybody whose favorite hand isn't aces is crazy to me. You know, I've lost big hands with aces, but I mean, if you look down and you're late in a tournament and you look down and you see king, queen suited, you're happy. But if you see aces, you're happier.
Besides a premium hand, what's your favorite hand?
I like playing suited connectors. I like 9-10 suited.
9-10 suited?
I like 4-5 suited. I get a little wild with sometimes. I'm not a solver guy. I know a lot of the solver guys go ace-5 and just go ham. I don't generally do that. I tried to use solvers for a while. I was studying with solvers, and I found myself more. I was trying to, when I was playing, I was like, okay, what is the right play? The right play versus what I thought what the right play was.
Yeah.
And it was just crushing me. So I gave up on. I was using GTO Wizard, uploading all my hand history, going through to see. And honestly, at the stakes that I play, GTO is minus EV. These guys, they don't have a theory. I'm playing $20 buy-ins. You know, there's just like I like 7-9 because I like 7-9. Is who I'm playing against. You know, so I just went back to doing my own thing.
Okay. So this year, we're on to this year now. So you're like, I got to get back. I got to get back in there. I'm gonna fix these leaks that I had that affected my play. What was your plan?
My original plan was to quit poker. I've been getting crushed in PLO, and my wife was sick of hearing me complain of, I got it in at 74%, and I keep losing. And I was just done. Like I was so frustrated. So I cashed out everything on Stars, everything on MGM, and I just had $2 left in World Series of Poker. And the only reason I had $2 is I had deposited. I normally didn't play WSOP. Their software is not great.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of action on there compared to Stars, because Stars is interstate and WSOP is just Michigan. So
Okay.
it's a different player pool. But they had if you deposited $10 and you put in some code, you got a free entry into a main event satellite. So I was like, all right, I'll do that. And I had done that before I had quit poker. And I didn't win, and then I played, like a $5 tournament and a $3 tournament and lost. And I was down to $2, and being the true degenerate that I am, I'm sitting there one day, I was like, I got that couple dollars. I might as well use it. I'm not going to just let it sit there. So I played the spin and goes. You guys know what the spin and goes are? I know you don't have online poker out there. So I was playing one of those nonsense spin and goes for $1. And I won enough of those to make $15. And they had a satellite where it was a $15 buy-in, and the winner got into a $215 satellite. So I won the $15 one. I get into the $215 tournament, and the winner of that one got the main event seat. And it was Super Bowl Sunday. It's crazy because my wife went to a Super Bowl party. She's like, "Do you want to come with me?" I was like, "No, I'll just stay home. I'll hang out with the kids. I'm going to try to win a main event seat tonight." I don't think I'm actually going to win. I hadn't even got into the $200 tournament yet when I told her that. But somehow, I ended up winning that tournament. I remember I got it in with Kings versus Ace King. I was down to 2 big blinds with 6 people left. And somehow spun it up and ended up winning that thing.
Chip in the chair, that's all you need.
Got another one. But this one they give me, so it's 10 grand to use on any WSOP event. So now I'm trying to win another satellite somewhere else, because then I could use the other one for the main event and use this 10 grand that I just got for all kinds of events at the WSOP.
Oh, yeah.
So that's my goal between now and then, is to win more satellites, to get more WSOP cash.
Okay. It's like 800 entries in your $300 Goliath or Gladiator.
Yeah, I was looking at that. It's like, it's like $300 and you can re-enter twice a day.
Yeah.
It's like, man, $900 a day, I could go play just crazy. Try to build a stack in one of those.
So we have a contention point with that, where I'm like, $300 doesn't deserve a bracelet. What do you think? I'm the only one. I'm the only one that's saying it doesn't deserve a bracelet. Just because I'm like, that's so low. You're gonna get a lot of money, but
it deserves a bracelet, right?
It deserves a
Destroy
bracelet
him.
is it's a WSOP event.
He says
and
yes.
there's
Yeah, okay.
5,000 people.
Man.
If you beat that many people at a World Series of Poker event, regardless of fields, like the buy-in, that's a crazy accomplishment. I feel like you should still get a bracelet for it. Plus, it gives guys like me, like, I'm not buying into a 10K.
Yeah.
I can only buy into, like, if I were to just bankroll myself, I could go play a few, gladiators or whatever they're called.
Yeah.
The $300. I could actually afford those. So I think it's good for poker, because it lets, the little guys like me have a shot at a bracelet. Because the only event, I'm going to play the main event, but there's going to be probably 10,500 people or something this year.
All right.
So the odds of winning a bracelet.
I'm 0 for 4 in people I ask. Nobody agrees with me.
Sorry, buddy.
It's just so hard. 15,000 people into these tournaments.
Yeah.
You got...
Gotta get a bracelet.
Yeah, but you got, like, they say, like, the competition isn't that good, but you got all the pros in the event as well, too. The pros
You
don't
have to
take...
run so good.
Yeah.
You have to run so good in that kind of event. Like, you deserve something for... you're going to win, like, $1 million, obviously, but you deserve a bracelet. If you win that many flips...
How many runners were in the 215 satellite?
Like 80, something like that.
Okay.
I'm telling you, that's the way to do it. If you can satellite into one of those, you can get in. I'm going to do it again next year, like a crazy person trying to get in. I'm sure.
Yeah, he's making it it's like a summer tradition.
That's right.
That's awesome. So, how would you describe your play or your style of play I know you're talking GTO, or is it just more feel now?
Just feel. To me, tournaments are about staying alive. I try to avoid being eliminated. You know, Phil Hellmuth, for as insufferable as that dude seems to be to play with at a table, the one thing he's really, really good at is staying alive. And that's what I do. And like I said, when I won my seat, I was down to 2 big blinds. So if you can stay alive long enough, you can spin it up and turn it into something. Like the stake that I'm on right now, I'm up quite a bit, and the way that I do it is I just stay alive. So I'm not 3 and 4 betting crazy.
Yeah.
Because of all that time I played heads up, I'm very good at figuring out what their story is and what my story is, and if I have a better hand, like I just feel like I'm better at figuring that stuff out. I keep it small until I know that I'm good, and then I jam.
Now we know you kind of were explaining earlier, like you grind. Are there any moments where you wake up and you're like, you know what, I don't feel like doing this today. I'm gonna take a break or a mental break. And if you do that, does that affect your game, or do you come back more refreshed and ready to keep grinding it?
No, I like to take breaks. I'll take a couple of days off here and there. I didn't used to when I was originally grinding, when I was playing the heads up back when I first got out of the military. I was a young kid, and I felt like I could play 12, 10 hours a day, no problem. But you need the mental break, especially a tournament player. There's so many moments in tournaments where your ace king loses to ace jack and you want to fight the guy on the other end.
Oh yeah.
And you just gotta suck it up and deal with it. So I think you need to take the time. So that's another benefit of online, though, is like I'm generally running between 4 and 6 tables when I'm playing, so it makes the sting a little less.
Yeah.
When you're playing a bunch of tables, you can just quickly move on to the next hand, the next tournament. When you play live and your ace king loses to ace deuce, I mean, you just want to fight somebody because you got to drive home and think about it the whole time. And that's a brutal part of tournaments. Like you can play so well for 3.5 hours at a live tournament and then lose to a bad run out. That's it. Like you just got to deal with that and then go back home and try it again. So I don't know. Online is better for that as far as mental health when it comes to tournaments, but it's a grind. It's hard. It's hard to do day in and day out.
What's your schedule look like? You say your wife,
Kids.
yeah, do you have kids or anything? Are you only doing it at night, weekends, while they're at school?
No, I try to mix it up a little bit. So so every day, for the most part, I play a 12 o'clock and a 1 o'clock tournament in the afternoon. That's before my kids get home, so I can generally play those 2. And then the rest of the time, I start at about 7 at night, and I generally go till 1 or 2 in the morning, depending on how deep I run in some of the events. I don't do it every day. I find Saturdays I'm a losing player for some reason. Thursdays I don't do well. So I Thursday and Saturday I try to go play live. I've been trying to play live more because I'm going to play the main again. So Thursdays and Saturdays I'll go play live. I find it a lot less stressful when I'm playing live versus playing online. One of the things about I'm playing with somebody else's money, when I'm staked online, and that's a new feeling. I'm brand new to this. This is my first set of 300. So when I play live, it's like my money. I'm not playing in huge tournaments or like $100 or whatever.
Well, I don't know how much you could talk about that, but how did that come about?
Shark Scope. You guys know Shark Scope?
Yeah.
So there was a thing on Shark Scope for a company, and I had known somebody who was working with them, and I reached out and like they looked me up, and I'm profitable on every site. I'm not like a crusher by any means, but I'm up a few thousand here, a few thousand there on all the sites, so I'm a profitable player. They gave me a shot. They let me play at the smaller stakes at first, so anything that was like $50 and under. And the next set I'm going to move up because the first one went pretty well, so going to move up. But it's nice because to me it's practice.
Yeah.
Like I've always looked at like I get a little bit of money from the VA from disability, and my wife works, so I don't need a huge windfall from poker to be able to pay my bills. So So I just love to play the game. Like that's
Yeah.
why I was able to play Club GG for $50 a month for so long. Because even though it wasn't for any money to me, like I'm going to play it the same way I play a $500 buy-in because I just love the game. I lost my train of thought there, but what was I talking about?
You went into Club GG of how you enjoyed it.
Yeah, I don't remember now. My brain just shut
That's
off.
okay. We actually have a question in the chat. Ice, you want to take that one?
Yeah, we have a question from Thomas. Welcome, Thomas. How many times do you need to see someone play a hand to understand the player? Like how to know they are bluffing, and is there clues to look for?
For me, the way that I explain it is I try to figure out what story they're telling. There's not a specific, I certainly look at someone's playing style. If someone's raising every hand, three betting every hand, check raising every hand, I'll take that into account. But for the most part, I find, if you just figure out what their story is, and then if your hand beats that story, you can call. If you don't think your hand beats that story, you can fold or you can try to bluff it. If you think you have a hand that can beat what they're saying they have. So for me, that's what I try to do. I try to play as many hands as I can in position. I probably overfold out of position and overplay in position because I think that I can outplay most players when I'm in position. So that's what I do. I just try to figure out what they're saying they have, and if I can tell them I've got something better, that's what I'm going to try to do. If that makes sense.
Yes. You're not Mike McD looking for the twitch or the rustling of the mustache. We're looking
No,
for
when
how
you
they're
play
playing the
live,
game.
When you play live, you can see some of that stuff,
Yeah.
though. Like, the way that someone jams all in before them, and they're,
Yeah,
well, you immediately know you don't have aces or kings.
Yeah, we have
so it's like,
we have somebody
okay.
here that likes the Hollywood as well too. So
Yeah, I guess that's true. It depends. I feel like sometimes you can really tell, though. Like someone raises and then they get three bet and they're just like,
Yeah.
ugh. And then you're behind them. You're like, okay, well, I've got a pretty good idea he doesn't have aces. I might be able to
Yeah.
squeeze here. That sort of thing
Yeah.
happens a lot more live. Online, it's a lot of regs that I'm dealing with
Yeah.
right now. A lot of regs.
Do you think
So I have
you're
over
relying
there-
on timing tells more than anything? Or
timing tells are a big one. That's like the one thing you can rely on as far as tells online is timing. Some guys, I've got notes on players like, if he bets quick, I know he's bluffing. If he takes his time, I know he's got it. I've got notes on players for that reason because that happens quite often.
Damn, you really are a private investigator then.
Yeah, it helps a little.
all right, so you playing poker for a living, you're grinding all these tournaments, you head to the main event. So when Poker News came out with this article on you, how did that make you feel?
Pretty wild. I mean, I've been playing poker for a long time, but I'm a small stakes guy. I'm a dad. I spend most of my time with my kids, and I don't get a lot of attention. I don't look for a lot of attention. So it was pretty crazy. It was cool. It was a little validating. I know that I'm pretty good at poker. I feel like I'm better than most players that I play against, but I never had anything to like prove it.
Yeah.
Other than if you look me up online, you can see I've won some tournaments here and there online and things like that. But yeah, the Poker News thing was, I was happy last year at the main event just to have one of my hands in Poker News.
Yeah.
So to have a whole article was pretty wild.
So I know your kids made your usernames or your avatar names, but how is it not your last name, bro?
Yeah, I probably should have. Well, fart poop is a good one because
Yeah.
on stars, because everybody thinks I'm a dumbass. Like immediately they think I'm an idiot when you see someone's name is fart poop. So I actually really like that one.
It's okay. One of the questions we gave you was from cat poop.
Yeah, there you go. That's one of my boys probably. But yeah, that's a good one. I like to try to appear like I'm a non-studied player.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I want them to think I don't know what I'm doing. When I go play tournaments live, generally early, I'm not trying to shuffle chips. I was a dealer. I'm really good at handling chips, right? I dealt for 4 years. But I try to just keep my hands still. I don't talk very much at first. I'm trying to build a stack real quick before these people realize I'm a pretty good player. And I kind of try to do the same thing online. Like, fart poop. I was like, that's hilarious. Let's do it. Good idea, son.
That's awesome.
Besides the summer, the World Series of Poker, what are your goals as to the end of the year? Do you have a set amount you want to win? Is there a certain amount of like tournaments you want to cash in?
I try not to think about the money aspect of poker as much as I can. I look at money as the way that we keep score. So I want to set a high score, but it's less about the money and more about, especially me, for whatever reason, I've always been a leaderboard guy. I like, when I played hockey as a kid, like I remember I started as a goalie, but then I found out that goalies didn't have a leaderboard for scoring. So I quit goalie and immediately went to go as a player. So I find that, like, same thing with cash versus tournaments in poker. I like the idea of cash. I think it's easier to grind out a living, especially me. Like, I live 25 minutes from Detroit. I can go play at any of the 3 casinos any day, and they're very beatable games. But I like tournaments. I like that there's a winner. I like that there's a bunch of losers.
Yeah.
I like that it's you get, like, my Shark Scope. I was ranked like number 3 in $20 tournaments for the last month or something like that. I like stuff like that where I can get some accolades for whatever reason.
Yeah,
So.
don't look me up on Scarshow. I won't give you my username. There was only one site I did well, and they're not in business anymore.
But I don't have like a specific goal. Like, I'm gonna play live more. There's a place by me that they run pretty big tournaments live, so I'm going next week. It's like a 50K guarantee. I'm gonna play some of those, but mostly because I got staked, I'm just trying to play as many tournaments as I can to get as much experience under my belt as I can.
Yeah.
So when I do go to the World Series, I feel as confident as I possibly can.
Of course, you have to take advantage of it too. It's a once
100%.
in a lifetime opportunity.
I thought last
You get
year was a
stake
once
to
in a
play.
lifetime opportunity.
Yeah.
And turned out it wasn't. So last year I found, I partied too much. I was there to not play poker. I was there and I was also playing poker. Not this. Like, my wife and I are flying in. We're gonna spend like 4 or 5 days together, and she's leaving, and I'm gonna stay and play the main event, so I can just focus on poker. So,
No partying, just poker.
Yeah, that's it. So I mean that's my. I'm probably gonna play a few tournaments is the goal. There's a few that are right around the main that are like affordable, that are decent, like good events. So I'll probably play a few. And my plan between now and then is to just play as many as I can.
Well,
So-
that's a good answer. If your wife is listening, that's a good answer. So at least you're partying.
So you win that you win that second seat, and now you got 10K of prize money. Are you gonna organize another poker tournament with your friends and let them battle it out for them to come with you?
I should.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, if I
You
win
create a little
Club
poker league.
GG, yeah, that Club GG one. If I can win 3 seats, that'll be fun. I'll
Yeah.
let you guys fight for the
Right.
third one.
It's like that scene in Dark Knight. It just throws the pool. We only got space for one.
We have another question from you from King of Cat Poop. Can't really see. How does he like the casinos in Detroit compared to other casinos?
I guess it depends on what you're looking for. MGM Detroit has a lot of tables and a lot of action. If you like PLO, you can find a game 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
What stakes are running in PLO?
There you go.
Is it 1, 2, 2,
On
5, 5,
Saturdays,
5?
they're running 25.50. It's
nice.
insanity. Like, there are some huge games in Detroit that I will never be able to afford. I could win the lottery, I wouldn't go play those games.
I used to deal as well too, and I used to deal a 25-50 PLO game, and it gets deep.
Yes, it does. I mean, those guys are all 20, 25K on them, ready to go play
Damn.
cards. So, no, but I mean, you want to play 1-3, they've got one. I think they actually made it 2-3 at MGM for the PLO game, but there's all kinds of PLO in Detroit. If you want to play PLO, there's plenty of action here. But if compared to Vegas, I mean, Detroit casinos are actually bigger, square footage-wise, surprisingly. They're very, very large, but there's only one real poker room right now, and that's MGM. The other 2 rooms are, three tables, 2 tables,
Yeah.
1. MGM's got 20, 22, running at a time. But they're running, know how you guys have it. They've got the high hand, and then they've got the bad beat. So every hand, they're taking $8 out of the pot.
Yeah.
$6 for rake, $1 for high hand, and $1 for the bad beat. And they're taking the high hand whether or not it's running at that moment.
Yeah.
So maybe the high hand runs from noon to 6 p.m. They're collecting that thing 24 hours a day. So you're paying all this extra rake essentially.
Yeah.
You have to play 2-5 or above to be really having a shot at being profitable long term. You could certainly go in and win, in one session, but long term you got to play 2-5.
Yeah, here in Florida, we used to have bad beats. They took it away. It used
Why?
to be, I don't know. Collusion, they were saying.
It's Florida.
A lot of guys were sitting down playing
fair
1-2,
enough.
colluding with each other.
Yeah.
But they used to get 200,000-300,000 was the bad beats. They used to
Yeah,
hit all the
that's what
time.
Did Daytona have it? I feel like I've only remember Hard Rock having bad beats.
I don't think Daytona had bad beats.
Yeah, it was the Hard Rock. But those are our big main conceals that we have here. So
I'd rather
what
go
what
out in
are your,
person.
so besides poker, where do you like to go in Vegas?
So I used to deal a little bit, so I learned how to count cards. I would go to El Cortez and play some blackjack there until they didn't let me play anymore. That
So
that
you
was
got
fun.
banned from blackjack?
They didn't.
They
didn't
pushed you back?
technically ban- They told me I can't. Well, no, I did get banned from blackjack. They said I couldn't play blackjack anymore. I could go play craps if I wanted.
Okay.
Win too much.
Oh, you playing single deck blackjack? Because
It was double deck.
Double deck?
If you can't count cards on a double deck after like 20 minutes of practice,
Yeah.
you're struggling at life. So
you have like the pit
but
boss
they're
with.
they're on you there. Like if I was spreading 10 to 100, I think, at the time, and as soon as I threw a couple $100 bets out there, they were
Yeah.
like, wait, and my wife's like, I think they're calling. I think they're talking about you on the phone.
Wait,
Security's on their way.
Cortez. That was the one that was like tilting to me, right? That it was like they gave it to you face down, and you like it was like I
Yes.
had to do a weird motion, and I was
Yeah,
like, I hate
yeah,
this.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. So I got myself my own tables because like I'm trying to count.
Yeah.
So if everyone's holding their cards and I can't see them till the last second, it messes up my count. So I found me a regular. That place is like a basement though. You can reach up and touch the ceiling.
Yeah.
The limits are like $5. It was a
I
trip.
remember. It was our first times we were going around there, and we were like, oh, let's go where the locals go.
Yeah, we were looking actually for low stakes blackjack because we were on the strip and it was like $25-$50 on
Right,
a
yeah.
weekend.
Yeah.
We went to Fremont Street, like, let's go. We found the $5 one, but we were so confused with you have to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was
pitch black,
tilting. We're like,
yeah.
let's get out of here. Let's go
That's
play
cool
roulette.
about that. I think double deck they were dealing it normal, and then single deck they were pitching. But yeah, you can't play blackjack anywhere on the strip right now. It's all 6-5 blackjack. They're playing 000 roulette, so I don't gamble much. Like I'm not a gambler outside of a game that I can find an edge. Like I found an edge in blackjack, so I would exploit it. But you can only do that at a few casinos now because they changed the rules or the limits. So the limit is a $50 buy-in or a $50 minimum hand. When you're counting cards, you're going 50 to, you're doing 1 to
500,
10 units, so
yeah.
50 to 500.
Yeah.
Now you need a big bankroll to be able to count cards and play that game and have any chance of winning. So I don't really mess with it anymore. I like to play craps just because it was fun to deal, and it's a trip to play the game,
Yeah.
and everybody gets excited and screaming and yelling and whatnot. My wife and I, we always stay at Mandalay Bay. We're old heads. It's quiet over there.
There's
They
nothing
always
wrong
give
with
us
that.
free room, smells nice. It's a good place.
Yeah. Did we stay there?
Now, we stayed at the Mirage. I think the Harrah's, right?
No, the first time.
The Mirage.
No, not the Mirage.
Now,
The Monte Carlo. That's what, right? We're at the Monte Carlo?
Mandalay Bay is at the very end of the strip on the other side of the Luxor.
It's
It's,
a-
like the
yeah.
last casino.
It's across from the Aria.
Yeah, it was like, did we stay at Mandalay Bay, or was it Monte Carlo?
Mandalay Bay is
Monte
way
Carlo,
at the
yeah.
other end from the Aria.
That's the one that connects to
Okay.
Aria.
Oh, so the train is, right? Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
a train in the back that brings you to Aria.
now I did want to ask. So, I am a novice player. I'm a beginner. So, what advice would you give someone like me to better their game?
Take up craps.
Find low stakes places to play that you can play a lot. Like I honestly do think that Club GG was a big part of me getting better. Because I could play all day, every day, and I've got maybe 100,000 hands that I've played on that site, and even though the competition is horrendous, like you're still playing poker, you're still learning a little bit. So I would say find stakes that you can play that are small enough to where you're not worried about the money and you can truly think about the strategy. Like you've got to be able to, if you can think through a hand without thinking of the financial implications of it, just think of the actual strategy of the game. That's the game that you need to be playing. And then once you get better and your strategy gets better, then you can start to move up and play better stakes. But first is like, I didn't like GTO as far as post flop, but I do think it's really good to learn for pre flop. Studying pre flop ranges, like, okay, get GTO Wizard and say, all right, I want to study from the button, there was an open and a call. I want to study this spot, and then study that spot a bunch of times. And that'll just help you to understand the concept and the theory of good poker. And then I feel like everything else after that, you can kind of figure out through repetition, through figuring out how other people are playing and whatnot. But if you get that basic foundation of starting hands, even before an open, like, all right, early position, under the gun, let's start this one at 100 big blinds. All right, how am I supposed to play this one? And then move to the next spot over, under the gun +1. And then the next spot over, the next spot over, and then start adding in, okay, now I'm the middle position and there's been one open. Study that spot. And then move over a spot, and then keep adding little things. But those little things that you're learning at the beginning, before the flop, will pay huge dividends, because so many mistakes that amateurs have is playing the wrong hands at the wrong time. And the one thing that GTO is really good at is helping train you how to play the right hands. And if you start to think about, okay, so why would GTO want me to do this? Then you can start to figure out a really good game theory and a plan of attack when you're playing.
I like that, because I think so. We had a tournament here, the Snap Call League tournament, and I think for me it was, I wasn't at the speed of where everyone else was. So I was trying to like think, and I think I was like getting out of turn a lot, but because I was like I felt like I didn't have enough time to think. But I think once I kind of grounded myself and just like breathed, laid back, I think I was able to at least get a flow of the game, which helped me out a little bit.
Yeah, repetition for sure. I think GTO Wizard is a great app for, if you can spend the time to just focus on pre-flop. Some things I do is I will go into GTO and like, all right, that was a confusing spot. What does GTO say I should do? And then I'll try to think about why GTO thinks that. But the other thing that I really recommend to everybody is watch super high roller bowls on Poker Go, and try what I try to do. I'll give you two things that I think you should do. One thing is watch the super high roller bowls, listen to those commentators, because they're going to try to tell you what those guys are thinking, and they're pretty close. Like, those guys know what they're talking about, and you can kind of really learn how a high-level poker player is thinking. Then another thing you can do is find a really good poker player that streams poker, watch them play on mute, and if they do something differently than you think you would have done, rewind it and then unmute it and try to hear what their thought process was. Try to figure out why they did something different than what you were thinking. So for instance, like you have ace queen on the button, there's a raise and a call, you're thinking, I should 3-bet squeeze, and then he just calls. Okay, well, let's go back. Why did he just call? Because he's probably going to tell you. That's why they're streaming, they're thinking out loud. But that's another good way to kind of learn try to figure out how better players are thinking.
So I mean, the first one, definitely. The second one, finding a good poker player, I don't know. But I don't know. I appreciate the feedback, because I do want to make it a habit of at least progressing in the game and getting a little bit better. Like, I enjoyed being in the mix with everyone, but I really want to start to like understand like what I'm doing or why I'm doing it, or when to do something, when not to do something.
I would say just watch. So, if for tournaments, the high stakes cash stuff on TV, I find to be complete nonsense. They're not playing with their own money. Uh, they can torch a stack. So, like, if you try to emulate what you see in a high stakes cash game, you're going to get crushed at a 1-3 table because it's a totally different game. So, what I try to study, like, since I'm not doing solvers much anymore, I watch Poker Go every day, and I'll watch a tournament, and I think every single hand, every single move, I think, what would I be thinking? What would I do in this spot? And I just do that as much as I'm watching it. I try to figure it out all day long. While I'm playing tournaments online, I'll have a Poker Go up, and I'm thinking about what would I do in this spot. And a lot of times, if you listen to the announcers, they're going to tell you what he's thinking, and that really can help you understand the mindset of a winning player who's thinking a hand through, especially the super high rollers, because those guys are really thinking at another level, which I think is invaluable to be able to learn from.
So for Fernando to break down the percentage, what do you recommend for him as far as studying to playing?
I think when you just start, you want to probably play a lot. You want to get as many hands in as you can. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to lose money. You're going to win money sometimes. But I mean, if you're playing in a game where there's, competent players and you're new to the game, you're probably going to lose. And that's fine. Like, try to figure out why you're losing. Try to remember the hands that you played where you were in a spot that you didn't know what to do, and then talk to these guys. Like talking it out with your friends. Like, hey man, I had ace jack and the flop was ace 4-3. I bet he check raised. What would you guys have done in that situation? And try to hear what other people, would say in that spot. But playing, I think getting as much volume in as you can is the best thing that you can do. It's like, what do they say? It takes a minute to learn, a lifetime to master.
Agreed.
And yeah, the more that you play, the better chance you have at getting better and better.
Well said. Well said. Well, just want to thank you for your time. We're gonna wrap it up here. We appreciate you coming. Also, thank you for your service, Ryan.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
Well, I also wanted to say, so you said briefly, you say your father was a military man as well. What branch?
My dad was Air Force. My grandpa was Army.
Hey,
I was
there
Navy.
we go. I'm Army.
You Army guy?
Yeah. Sorry,
Nice.
No,
Well,
but no,
I
thank
tried
you.
to join the Marines. I couldn't. My vision wasn't good enough. They wouldn't accept me. So the Navy was all I could do.
Well, beyond the thank you for your service, we also thank you for your sacrifice, because it's a sacrifice at the end of the day. But
I appreciate it. Thanks,
nonetheless,
guys.
we thank.
Well, we'll be rooting for you this summer. Hopefully, you'll get that second seed, so we can see you in other tournaments. Also, we're gonna be sending a care package out to you for some of our snap call gear, so be on the lookout for that.
That's sick. I'll wear it at the main.
Hey,
Awesome.
hey, there you
Appreciate it. So next week, guys, it is our season finale, episode 10, where we're gonna have our local Poker Pro, Charlie Campos on.
Which is a Navy vet as well too.
Nice.
Yeah, so we'll be here Monday at 9. You could catch us on YouTube, Kick, Twitch, Spotify. I think everything ran perfectly tonight. We'll see how it goes. Please, if you guys want to get your questions in for Charlie before the stream or during the stream, that's totally cool. Also, if you have any lingering questions for Ryan, we'll send them out to him, and hopefully he'll be able to get back to you.
The
So
more engagement, the better.
yes,
Engage.
yes. So anything on you guys?
That's it, man. Appreciate it, Ryan.
Thank you so
Thanks
much,
for the
Ryan.
time,
Yeah,
man.
thank you,
All
man.
right, thanks, guys. Take it easy.
All right, you have a good one.